Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this week's video, we're going to talk about should you buy a condo in 2024. We're going to cover this from a first-time buyer perspective as well as from a first-time investor perspective. We'll talk about some pros and cons, and so you can make a better decision in terms of whether this is the year for you to enter the condo market. Real quick, if this is your first time to the channel, my name is Hassan. I'm a real estate agent in the Vancouver area, and I make educational real estate content to help you on your real estate journey. I also make content designed to help you make your move in and around Vancouver. So if that sounds interesting to you and you wanted to chat with me one-on-one about your real estate situation, you can book me for a free call in the Calendly link below and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a future weekly video. So before I get rolling on this video, because we're talking about condos, I did create a free guide, which is basically my top 10 red flags and deal breakers when buying a condo. You'll find a link to that in the description box below, as well as I'll link it here. It's basically the first 10 things I go through with my clients to decide whether we need to walk away from a condo or whether we should pursue it further. All right, should you buy a condo in 2024? I'm going to start this video by talking about the first-time home buyer angle. We've just recently had some changes to the property transfer tax exemptions, announcements at least for changes that are coming as of April 1st. The threshold now for a first-time buyer to receive a property transfer tax exemption has increased to a market value of $835,000 in a purchase price to receive up to an $8,000 credit or discount off of the property transfer tax. And so we have that. We also have a change to the newly built construction property transfer tax exemption, not just for first-time home buyers, but that shifts up to $1.1 million of a purchase price. So there are now buyer incentives entering the market beginning in April. So from a first-time home buyer or any type of home buyer, the reason why I think now may be a good time to be looking at the condo market specifically is we're heading into spring. We've had a couple months of pretty strong activity, January, February, pretty strong. And what I've noticed in the last month or so is that increase in inventory, especially condo inventory, has really come into the market over the last few weeks. Monday of this last week, I was monitoring the listings. By about 4 or 5 p.m. across Metro Vancouver, Fraser Valley, we already had almost 400 new listings uploaded in that one day. I'm expecting that March is going to show some pretty significant inventory numbers. And if you're shopping around as a home buyer, you want to hear that there is more inventory to choose from. We've spent the last 18 months or so with very low inventory levels. Overall, I would say condo inventory especially is picking up. Townhome and detached home is still pretty light, and those properties are still very much entering a lot of multiple offer scenarios, massive amount of offers on some of these entry-level detached. But at the condo level, inventory is increasing. When we look at it from last month's stats perspective, most condos, they are in sellers markets, but just barely. And the way we determine that is we look at a metric called sales to active ratio. If it's above 20%, basically, that's a seller's market. And most condos are kind of hovering around that mark. Some of them are shifting lower and actually into balanced markets. So if I'm a buyer and I'm a first-time buyer, I have my finances in order, I've spoken to a mortgage broker, I'm comfortable with what my monthly payments are going to look like, I truly believe that the next 1 to 3 months are going to open up a nice window of opportunity here. The other thing as well, especially if you're looking in the Vancouver area, we have new Airbnb legislation hitting as of May 1st. Now, a lot of the owners of these properties that they used to Airbnb out, or they still do up until this point, a lot of them did at the end of last year and early this year list those properties, having to get out of that short-term rental business in these condos. But there are a lot of people that are cramming for May 1st. And so downtown, especially close to Vancouver, properties that people were renting out short term, many of these owners and sellers are going to be putting their condos on the market, and they are doing so as we speak. So already we're sitting in a pretty a heavier, I can't say heavy overall because historically we don't have heavy inventory, but we're back to above 10-year averages. And so we're already sitting at a pretty good point for inventory levels. I'm expecting those inventory levels to continue to increase over the next month to 2 months. So if you're shopping for a condo, you're going to have more to choose from in many areas across the Lower Mainland. You're going to generally not go up against as many multiple offers, especially as we've had our interest rate held for a period of time now. It's not certain when we're actually going to see a cut, but when we do, I can assure you that the market will pick up to some degree. And when I say to some degree, it may not go gangbusters, but you may now end up in a situation where if you're purchasing a property today and you're not competing on it, when the rates come down, maybe you're up against another 1 or 2 offers, and now you're having to make some challenging decisions as a first-time home buyer. Do I want to forego an inspection? Do I want to remove some of these subjects in order to win the property? So I'm maintaining that the next few months are going to be a good opportunity for first-time buyers if you have your finances in order, if you're confident, obviously, in your employment, you have something that's stable, that's giving you an income, you feel good about the financial picture. Because keeping in mind that real estate, if you watch my channel, it's always a long-term type of a game. And here in Vancouver is you need to wait for kind of these lulls in the market to be able to get into them. You try not to purchase when it's too hot and too frenzied. And for many periods of time, it's very hot and frenzied. Right now, I would say in our market, activity is good. It's a pretty stable market, even though, again, a lot of products are stemming into the seller's market by definition, by the numbers of it. It's a pretty steady market in a lot of areas between buyers and sellers. And that's really what you want, because here in Vancouver, we just generally don't ever hit a true buyer's market. I think last month, the only true buyer's market that I saw was West Vancouver detached homes, which is pretty normal as the prices of those homes are much higher. They tend to sit a lot longer before they actually sell, but very difficult to find opportunities to get purchase properties in buyer's markets. So as a first-time buyer, you want something that's more of a stable market where there's enough inventory to choose from. And really, the inventory is what is keeping a handle on prices right now. Last month, if we look at month over month price growth, prices actually did increase for the first month after several months of decline. So I'm not suggesting that this is the turning point. Prices are going to go up, but we seem to be stabilizing. And again, as soon as the rates are cut, whether it is this year, perhaps it's in the fall or early next, I've already spoken with a lot of realtors who have told me that they have a handful of buyers that have just told them, we're just waiting for a rate cut. We're waiting for a rate cut. You really want to get ahead of it. So in those instances, if you're a first-time buyer, I think we have a good window of opportunity right now. On the flip side, if you're someone that wants to buy something short-term because you're thinking you're going to make money in the next year or two by reselling that property, or you're not sure if you're going to be here for a long period of time, you may need to relocate for work. You may be in a situation where you buy today and then you have to sell relatively quickly. I would advise against getting into the market right now. I don't think it makes a lot of sense if you don't have stability and if you're not here for the long term. All right, so I'm going to move along to talk now about first-time investors, or just people that are thinking about investing in condos. This is a little bit different of a scenario than with first-time home buyers. I have a lot of conversations with people about investing in condos in general, and you'll hear a lot of people say that you should never invest in condos. Like, why would you invest in a condo? Invest in a detached home, buy land. The thing that you have to keep in mind when you hear this about condo investing, or when you hear that type of advice, is the people that are giving you that type of advice, they generally already have multi-million-dollar real estate portfolios. And the reality is, not everyone is there right now, and people are trying to get there. And for many, the first step is a condo investment. Now, some might tell you that, okay, well, don't invest in a condo, save your money, just wait until you can get a detached home or a piece of land and then purchase that land. But the reality is with the way prices are inflating, with inflation, with cost of everything increasing, asset values increasing, you can no longer sit there and try and save a bit of a nest egg to skip a step and get into detached properties or get into land. So the way to get there is you need to take that money, that capital that you have, and you need to invest it in something. So this would be one of the reasons why you might invest in a condo. Why would you invest in a condo at this time? So similar reasons like I just mentioned, how we're starting to see that uptick in condo inventory. It's a less competitive market as we speak. So there's going to be options. A lot of these Airbnb listings are going to hit the market. Those would be prime for people that want to purchase condos as rental investments. Now, the thing to keep in mind with rental investments here in Vancouver, Fraser Valley as well, is you do not buy these for cash flow anymore. You're not going to put 20% down and cash flow, 30% and cash flow. You really are purchasing these properties and you want to do them in prime growth areas, and you're purchasing them again for the long haul because you expect and we expect asset values to continue to increase and prices to appreciate, and you're able to do so with real estate with leverage. You're obviously not purchasing the entire property in cash, and you have a tenant in there to help pay down the mortgage. The nice thing about real estate, and the other thing that you may be considering is, okay, should I buy real estate? Should I invest in stocks? There's a lot of people that'll tell you, well, the S&P returned much higher rate of return than real estate. And the reality is that's true. What is also true is that generally speaking, when you put your money in real estate, it is a forced savings account. You've put your money in there. A lot of people, when they're deciding between real estate and stocks, they'll say, okay, well, if you take that money and you continually put it in the S&P, every month, you're going to do much better. But the reality is most people are not disciplined enough to take that same investment and put it into stocks religiously. Stocks, like real estate, they go up and down, and generally speaking, when prices of good stocks come down, that's when you should be plugging more money into it. And human nature actually tells us when a stock is dropping, it's very tough for us to continue to put money into that asset. So if you're weighing out stocks and real estate, you have a little bit less control with the real estate, but that can be a good thing. Now, the other thing to keep in mind with real estate, especially in Vancouver, our vacancy rate below 1%. Across Canada, it's at 0.9%. So we have one of the lowest vacancy rates. You're very unlikely to have a property that you cannot rent out. You're very unlikely to have vacancy for a long period of time. So you put your money into this real estate. And the thing that I like about condo investments or any type of real estate is you can no longer make split decisions with that real estate. So as prices go up, prices go down, you can't wake up one day and just say, I'm going to sell, I'm going to liquidate. Real estate is an illiquid asset, and most people will tell you that makes it inflexible, that you don't want something that's illiquid, because if you need to get out of it quickly, you're going to struggle. I look at Vancouver real estate as, yes, an illiquid asset with some liquidity to it, in the sense that if you list your property at a fair price in our market, it will sell. So for me, real estates, condos, they're just illiquid enough that you can't make a rash, quick decision. You can't wake up one morning and say, oh, I didn't like hearing about that news about, the park they're removing down the street from the property. I want to sell the property. I want to get out of it. You can't make quick decisions. And most strong investors will tell you that quick decisions, rash decisions will hurt your returns. Whereas for a stock, if you wake up one day and you don't like what the CEO did yesterday, you can offload that stock. If you see that the stock value is going down, for a lot of people, it's very hard for them to continue to hold on to that stock. A lot of people will sell it on the way down. The phrase they say amongst the stock enthusiasts are weak hands get shook. So when you're carrying that stock and it's going down in value, they shake out, they drop, they sell. Whereas with real estate, you cannot make that sort of quick decision. And with any type of investment, good stocks, real estate, the longer you're in it, the more likely you are to do better. So why would you invest in a real estate condo? A lot of clients come to me and they say, look, I want to purchase a condo right now. Oftentimes young couples, they're starting a family. I want to purchase a condo right now. That's not for me. I want something that I can pass down to a future generation. I have several clients that have done that over the last couple of years where they're purchasing a condo so that, when their child, who right now is maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, when they're old enough to move out, they're going to have, a home to move out into. So condo investment, I think it's great because, again, when you need to sell it, if you need to sell it at a fair price, you can do it. You're not going to wake up one day and say, oh my God, the value is dropping, I'm going to have to sell this property. You can take out, of course, a fixed rate mortgage, so you know what your payments are going to be. Even if the value goes up and down, your payments are going to stay the same, so you have some stability there, and you're more likely to ride out the wave. Any downs, you're more likely to ride those out and gain equity over a longer period of time. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you did, hit the like button, because what that does is it takes the video and it sends it out to more people so they can learn from it as well. And if you're in the Vancouver area or the Fraser Valley, you want to talk about condos, any type of investment, any type of purchase and sale, you can book me for a free call in the Calendly link below. But I want to thank you so much for watching this week's video, and I look forward to seeing you next week.